Okay, my husband's recording. Yeah. Okay, just do this. Meeting's being recorded, and
It looks like it's recording already.
yeah, ever started recording from your computer.
Okay.
Thank you, honey. Okay, let's go into present mode and welcome everyone. Now I can't see all of you. This is very interesting to learn how to use. This is like, okay, here. Okay. All right. I don't know how to. I had you all really small a second ago. Okay. Either ways, welcome to the homeschooling class. I'm really, really, really amazed that you are all here. What's going to happen is we're going to cover the application requirements, the laws, what you need to submit, what your educational plan must include, which means your vision of why you're homeschooling and what you're going to be telling the government why your child cannot be in school. Then, where do you start? How do you gather the data? These worksheets that I sent to you in the chat. Why do you homeschool? We're going to go through why you homeschool, methods of learning, the do's and don'ts of what not to put in your application. And I'm going to show you some application examples, and then we can have some talking. So bear with me. I know you are going to have a lot of questions, and you're going to want to see a lot of examples and how to go through the website. I'm going to go through all of that, but just bear with me so that way I could show you the process and the roadmap so you don't get overwhelmed because it can be very overwhelming, and I'm going to try and do my best to simplify. Okay, so we're going to start with why do you need to homeschool? And I just want to see. Um, no, I'm just trying to see if there's a way to make you guys smaller on the screen and do the present. This is really weird. Okay, we're going to do it this way. So I can still see you and you can see me. And that's not going to work. All right, next screen. So I guess it doesn't matter that you guys mainly are little squares. Okay. Okay. Why do you need to homeschool? Oh, I got it to work. Yes. Okay. You need you need to submit the application because it is a compulsory education law in Israel stating that all children from age 3 to till grade 12, whether that's 17, 18 years old, have to be in an educational institution. So if an institution is not stamped by the Ministry of Education, Misrad HaChinuch, they're considered as not being in school. Okay, it's an illegal institution. Now, if you don't want to send your child to any legal institutions, you need to apply to the government and say, this is why my child is going to be better learning at home. Now, if you do not submit an application and you have a nasty neighbor who says, oh, I see these children outside of school, they're running around, they're not being taken care of, they're not in school, which has happened to people, they can get the revacha, in English, that is child services, and go and knock on your door and be like, hey, why are your children not in school? Where are you from? So if you want to keep things kosher, it is best to just submit an application, have your children at home, and that's it. Now, I'm not telling you what to do. I'm not telling you do an application, don't do an application if things are doing fine. I'm not rocking your boat. I'm just telling you the laws. Um, for me, myself, we did all the applications. I never tried to go under the radar, but I had my children in school earlier. We pulled them out in Corona. We started homeschooling 4 years ago. So my children were like, on the first day of school, they're like, hey, why is your child not here in class? And we're like, we have a homeschooling application now. We're not going to school anymore. So, okay. I summarized the first law, which is going to be our roadmap of going through how to do the application. Now, this is a rough and abbreviated translation, and the main points are all in bold, which is what's going to be our our guide. Okay. The Minister of Education and knows they have delegated authority, meaning the people that show up at your door to do the inspection, may exempt a child from the obligation to study at a recognized educational institution for home education applicants who present a coherent world view. So your world view can't be hodgepodge. They're going to want a proper world view of who you are as parents and what your educational philosophy is. Okay? And it demonstrates special and exceptional circumstances that demonstrate that the child will receive or is receiving a systematic education that provides him/her with a response to all of his needs. This includes learning skills, knowledge, their social and emotional skills, and abilities in accordance with the approved plan. Okay? So all their skills, all their knowledge, all their abilities, which aligns with Misrad HaChinuch. It is clarified that this exemption is granted for the education of a single child or of the children of one family, and in no case for the gathering for the purpose of studying of the children of several families together. So if you and a bunch of friends want to take your children out, you each have to make an application for each one of your children and a worldview for your family that does not the same. It is not a replica of your friend A, B, C, D. It has to come from you by you. Okay. Now, the deadline is April 30th. It opens every year, December 1st to April 30th. So the fact that it's Pesach and it's all the holiday season now does not make a difference to them if you get it in late because it's been open since December 1st. Okay. Do not apply on April 30th. Always go beforehand. I have had numerous friends whose the site has crashed. Everybody's running in at the last second to get in their submissions, and they don't get the confirmation email. It doesn't go through. You cannot then go to Misrad HaChinuch's office and be like, hey, we tried to submit. It can only go through the parents portal. Okay. The application must be written in Ivrit or Arabic, as those are the only two national languages of Israel. I'm not positive on Russian, but I know for sure it's only Ivrit or Arabic. You cannot submit an application in English. If you need help with translators, I have two people who can help you with translating applications if you need help in the next few days before April 30th, so be in touch with me. Now, a child who is transitioning from Gan to Kita Aleph, that means from kindergarten to grade 1, has to have a new application. Grade 6 to grade 7, because they're going from elementary into high school. And from grade 9th to 10th, as 10th grade is a bagrut year. So that's when they're starting their matriculation examinations in 10th, 11th, and 12th. Okay. Sometimes, if you're lucky, you can have an acceptance of 2 years. So you don't have to do it every year, but you must check on your acceptance letter whether or not your acceptance is until June 30th of that year or June 30th 2 years later. So always check. And the people who grant that are the people who come in and do the home inspection. Okay. Now, if your application is denied, your child may be forced to go to school, and there are experts out there that can help you go to Misrad HaChinuch and write up the letters and help you with the legalities of being able to go against Misrad HaChinuch's decision. But according to Misrad HaChinuch, if they don't have that letter of acceptance saying that they are homeschooled, they must be in a building. And in the parents portal, I can show, it will actually say the child's name and the school that they're assigned to. Okay. Any questions on what I just said before I go to the next slide?
Yes, I have a question.
Yeah.
When you, if you send your so by deadline April 30th your application. Usually, how long does it take until you get the answer?
Normally by the summertime. So you can get an answer normally. And normally what the answer is people a letter or a phone call, normally a phone call from the Rekezet. The Rekezet is the person in Misrad HaChinuch, the Rekezet is the head person of I'm trying to translate some of these words into English. So I do have some Hebrew. All this terminology is in English. The Rekezet is the truancy officer. So that's the easiest translation. They're the ones who are checking that the children are in school, where the children are going to school, if there are problem children. And from each city has their own rekezet and their own head person in their office. So they're the ones who will normally do a call, and either they or the person assigned to them will be coming to your home to do a visit. And they'll tell you at the visit, normally that you'll get an answer via an email, whether or not you've been accepted.
Okay.
So yeah. Rivka said for her, they always contact her during the following school year. That happened a lot during Corona. That really, really did. But now that there's less people trying to apply, they've been a little bit more on top of things. Okay. Now, why do they want the deadline to be April 30th? Now, we're going to try and make this into not such a scary situation. As I try to phrase it to my children, they're like, why are people coming to my house? Don't they trust you? You're our parents. They don't go inspect all the children in school. Why are they inspecting you? Now, to make this nicer, these people genuinely care about your children. They want them to have the best education possible. And according to their philosophy, their Misrad HaChinuch, their guidelines, their outlines, their curriculums is the best possible thing for children. This is what all the children are doing. It's the best. Now, they say April 30th, you should know by that point of view what you're doing for next year, because they believe learning is from September 1st to June 30th. There's no such thing as summer learning. That's meant to be time off and meant to be camps, according to their philosophy. So if your child is not going to be enrolling by September 1st at their school time, that means you need to show them beforehand that you have their learning needs and the curriculum for them already outlined for the following year. So that's why in December, you should already be gathering your information and submitting it to them. So it's literally just understanding their mindset. It's like, oh, that's how it is. Listen, we want to be a little bit off grid. We want to be away from the norm. It's also good. I found for myself that I know what I was preparing, what's coming up next. It helped me as well evaluate my children's needs, see if we were on the right path. Is there something extra we needed to change? So if I saw it and took away the negative overview, it was much, much, much calmer. Now, you don't need to have all the workbooks, and you don't need to have all the materials for what you're doing come September 1st. You just have to have a written curriculum, a written outline, a written guide for what you will be doing. So you don't need to worry about crossing all the I's and dotting all the T's and gathering everything and having it all prepared. It's just words. Also, if you don't do everything that you outlined on that curriculum, by the time they come around to do an inspection the next time, it's okay, as long as you've shown what you did and you have proof that they did do learning, everything should be okay. Okay, you cannot submit a homeschooling plan if you are not an Israeli citizen. If you are an Israeli citizen but you're not living in Israel, okay, you have to go into the Ministry of Education and check what law applies to you and what your situation is personally, to know exactly when and if you need to submit, okay? If your child is currently in a school, you have to submit an application for the following school year by April 30th if they're in school right now. Okay, if you already have children with a homeschooling exemption and a child who has turned 3, you need to make a new homeschooling application for them, even though you have acceptance for your other children. There's somebody who's not on mute and it's giving a lot of feedback. So if you could check. Thank you so much. Okay. Okay. If you've moved house and Misrad HaChinuch does not have your address, you need to update them with your address so they know where to send your file. Because as I explained, the Rekezet takes care of the children within her city. So if you're living up in Svat and you've moved to Beersheba, you need to update them because the Rekezet from Beersheba is now going to take care of your files. The Rekezet from Svat is not going to drive down to see you. Okay? So that's why you have to update them with your phone, with your address, your phone number, your email. Okay. An exemption from homeschooling means you cannot participate in any of Misrad HaChinuch's frameworks or receive any services from them. This includes trips, sports, competitions, distance learning when they were doing Corona, any parties or programs. It also means if your child is gifted or outstanding and you want your child in those programs, they cannot attend. Also, when it comes to Bagrut and the matriculation exams, your child cannot use any of the services for guidance in Bagrut except for actually attending their exams. So one of my daughters actually went back in a special program that helps her do the Bagrut so she could get the services because there was no way we could do it without the help in the Hebrew. Your child does not receive a report card and your child would not obtain a high school diploma. So if you're homeschooling, you are literally on your own and you're only within the homeschooling community. You don't get any homeschool diploma saying that you completed 12th grade. That's also why she went back because there's a program she wants to do after school, which she'd need a high school diploma for. So reading all these laws, which I'm going to show you where they all are when I log into the portal, is very important. Also, Misrad HaChinuch does not.
Wait,
Yeah.
I understood well. You can't do any exams if
You
you're
can do the exams, but you can't do any of the preparatory exams, preparatory programs. So then normally you can go, the school will go and tell you how the exam practice sheets, how long it is, what things you'll need to study for it. They'll give you all these tips and guidance if you need extra learning time, extra assistance. It's your child goes in there to do a bagrut, and that is it. They don't get any help. Yeah.
Wow.
Yes.
That's what
I don't hear you. You're breaking up.
you know, Kulon Lara? It's an American school that is doing high school diploma by distance. And even in France, some are doing this. It's American school, but you can have like a high diploma with it.
I'm not familiar with it. Tell me after. I'd like to know what that is.
We do in Clone Lara as well.
Well, I've never heard of it. The other thing is that 1 second, that the Misrata Perjury so that's not correct. So you can apply, you have to, in certain cases, you can speak to your Rekezet about the diploma of graduating, but it's very, very one-on-one personal. It's very personal. As a general rule, you don't get it. So if you're good with the Rekezet, you have all the proofs, you can speak to them. But I haven't heard personally from anyone. And for me, what information I'm giving over is firsthand information. It's not me being whatever I give you is tachlis. It's what I know. It's not hearsay. That's what I'm looking for. Okay, the other thing is Misrad HaChinuch does not give you any funds. There's no stipends. They don't provide you with any money whatsoever. So you pay taxes, but you're choosing to homeschool. The taxes go to, the tax allotment of money goes to the local school that your child would have been attending. So, okay. Next is, now what do you need to submit? No, thank you. Okay. You need to submit both to parents, Teudat Zuhut and Sefach. If you're in a situation where you're divorced or single or fostering parents, I am not sure. You'd have to contact the local, your local rekezet and find out exactly what you need to do for your own personal situation. But in a normal two-parent family home, it's Teudat Zuhut of both parents and Sefach. If your child is currently enrolled in school, you must submit their registration letter and their Teudat, which is their report card. There is then forms. I'm going to show you where to get the forms out of the parents portal. There's 3 forms. You have to request an exemption from the compulsory educational law, which is your Teudat Zuhut, the children's information. Your statement regarding sole liability, that you are liable for this child. Misrad HaChinuch has no claim. They don't have their hands in your situation in your home. It's all on you. And a confidentiality waiver for the transfer of information to the advisory committee. So if this means any paperwork that you're submitting to Misrad HaChinuch, that they are allowed to share it within their ministry to whoever needs to see it. Okay, and then the written reports, which is the main part that we're discussing, is the details of the adult who will be with the child each day of the week. So this includes you, the parents, and if you have any tutors or any guides who are helping you, so say you work full-time and you're having a tutor come into your home to tutor your child one-on-one, you put their information. Then we have a detailed report explaining your educational worldview, which explains why your child's education must be done within the framework of Chinuch Beiti. And then for each child, they have to have their own curriculum written. So if you have one child, it's one for them. If you have 6 children, it's one for each of one of those children. They need their own report. Then they need a weekly and daily agenda according to the plan of how you are teaching them. And then if your child has any special needs, you need to, and you want to tell them, you have to upload their diagnosis for each of your children that has a disability. This includes if they are gifted and excellent and a high IQ, or if they have learning disability and handicaps. Okay. You can combine the details of the adult who is with their child each day in the educational worldview. So you don't have to make a separate report for each of these. These can be together. Your weekly agenda and educational plan can also be together in one report, depending on how you write everything. Okay. The detailed educational plan is going to be on the next page of what you need to include. What are the main subjects? You are required to teach 55% of the subjects demanded by the Misrad HaChinuch. Okay. One sec, just checking messages. Yes, it includes autism. And if they're in the process of being diagnosed, my expression is silence is golden. Until everything is known, just don't say anything unless you have written proof. If my child is maybe autistic, we're getting evaluated, you want to look as solid as possible. You don't want to look wishy-washy. So unless it's an autistic diagnosis that you want to tell them, you don't say anything. My rule is a KISS system, keep it seriously simple. You don't want, the more they know as well, the more they know, the more complicated it can be. I honestly don't know if they have access to Bituch Lomi's Kitzbah info. I don't know. It's something that I'm going to start asking around to my friends because I'm not positive. It is something I was very curious. Yes, who's asking me a question?
I can't type fast enough.
Okay, there you are. I just couldn't see your screen. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm asking about the autism, mainly because I wondered like my daughter is not going to talk to this person, and so I'm asking like the person that comes to visit at the home, and I know other people that they like kind of test with their kids and ask them like to read them a book or whatever. So I'm asking, do you think that I should be saying something, or?
You can just say my child has serious social anxiety and that's why they're home. And I had my Hannah, she was in Ghana. We did it over Zoom and she nodded her head at the screen. She refused to speak.
Right. I just don't want that to turn them against, like, and think like, okay, she needs to go to Ghana because she doesn't talk to people, because she does talk to people, but she needs to know them.
She has serious stranger danger skills. You're a stranger. She doesn't know you. So she only likes to talk to people. It's if you have everything looking great in your home, like you have all the materials, you have the books, she looks like a great child, it's fine. Like I had one of my children who had selective mutism in Gun and did not want to speak to anyone, and she did not have autism. So it's if you look as I saw for myself, I looked solid, my husband looked solid, everything was great. So if you don't look stressed and you look very calm and very confident and like, she doesn't talk to strangers. And look, this is where we set up her Montessori station, and this is where we're going to do mud play. And you see this book and you just distract it. And I found that to be the best. It's like, that was the easiest. But if you want, we could talk about more of these things afterwards for sure. Okay. Hey, princess. Okay. Okay, so in front of you on the screen is the required subjects that you must teach your child. So we got math, science, language, Ivrit for Hebrew speakers, Arabic for Arabic speakers. At a certain grade, Arabic speakers must learn Ivrit. And English or other native tongue foreign language from age 8 is to then be part of their curriculum. And I loved this line, a values education that does not contradict the values of the state education law. That
I
was
have
like,
a question.
yeah.
The language, when you have other English as a native language, it will be allowed, or you have to learn it first, Ivrit, and then.
So at home, you're going to be speaking your language at home, but you have to be teaching Ivrit.
Okay.
On your curriculum from age 8, that's when you're meant to start teaching them how to read or write in your native tongue language. So if they already know how to read or write in your native tongue language, that is completely normal because it's your native tongue. But English is part of the Israeli curriculum starting from age 8. So therefore, from age 8, it should be on your curriculum plan. Or if you don't want to teach English and you say you want to teach German or Dutch, as those are your other native tongue languages, you can put that down and say, we speak these languages at home. This is a foreign language that I'll be learning. If
Okay,
you also want to teach
perfect.
them English, you can do that as well. That's the beauty of the homeschooling.
Yeah. Okay, perfect.
Okay. Yes, from the age of 3, all of this planning is relevant. Okay, and afterwards, I'll show you on Misrad HaChinuch where all of the certain subjects are needed. What time
Can
of
I
year
ask
do they?
something in connection to autism, because I missed what you said.
Hey, Rachalea. Okay.
Hi.
Okay.
So I would have to share with them that my child is autistic if he's Imu Muvchan. He's I have to share, or you said I could be quiet about it.
Let's speak about all those things a bit afterwards because I haven't quite
Okay.
prepared all that information. So right now, let me
Okay,
keep
fine.
going, and then we're going to go on the group chat. So that way everybody who comes here, like if people need to leave early, they're getting the bulk of the info.
Okay, great. Okay.
Okay. So after values education, life skills, physical education, which is sport. They're very worried about sport. And then all your personal enrichment subjects, all the extra things. Yeah, Ruthie.
Yeah, just about the language, like they are asking you to teach in Hebrew, or
They want to see
but
that your child.
here we have to find that we are engaging that most of the instruction will be in French.
Yes. So here they want most of the instruction to be in Ivrit. So you're going to have to be showing them tutors. You're going to have to be showing them that you're going to homeschool meetups, that they're speaking with friends. You need to show them how they're learning their Ivrit. Where are they getting the knowledge from? Because if you don't have the language, then you're crippling your child. How are they going to learn? So in my case, my husband said he spoke Ivrit. He's going to be doing all the Ivrit language work with them. And his mother is Israeli, and she was going to be tutoring them over 3 times a week. She was in Canada, but she was tutoring them over Zoom. And we said there's going to the local youth group, they're going to the Chogim, the extracurricular programs through the community center here. So we were showing them how they're immersed in the Ivrit culture, in the native language. And then we also showed them all the library books. I showed them the workbooks that we were using. So we showed like all the notes that they want to see when they come to do an inspection should be in Hebrew. They want to see your child is learning the language.
But if you don't speak Hebrew, how are you managing to use workbooks in Hebrew?
This is the biggest hurdle when it comes to Olim. This is the biggest hurdle. Let me get a little bit on, let me keep on track, and then I'm gonna come back and keep coming back because I know this question is gonna keep coming up. Okay. Okay. So where are you going to start? Okay. What did I miss a guide? No, I didn't. Okay. So if you need a very strong worldview first of why you're homeschooling. I know there's a very big issue with I don't have the language, which is where you're going to now need to figure out where you're getting the language from, where are you getting the tools from, how are you going to be teaching your child at home in a language you don't understand. Okay? So having this worldview isn't just for the government, it is for you as well. This is going to be your anchor. It's going to help you implement a structure, implement a framework to be able to help your child. So you don't come here and like say, I have no clue of which direction I am heading in. Okay. So I sent out a bunch of worksheets. And the first one was to figure out who is my child. Now, when I first did my application, I did it because of Corona. I did it out of fear. I didn't want to send my children to school. It was completely chaotic. My eldest is an autistic child. I then had 3 younger children at the time, and one going into 7th grade, another going into 3rd grade, and another one in gun. And I had no clue how to homeschool. I do not have a teaching certification. I was doing this because I knew that the schools were no longer a safe place for my children to be because they were in and out every other day. They were constantly having to go into isolation. I saw their mental health crashing. And then I had this inspection come, and they did not give me acceptance for my autistic child and my one going to high school. They put me on a 6-month probation. And in those 6 months, I had to figure out what on earth I was doing. Because not homeschooling for not wanting to send my children to school for a negative reason is not a reason to keep them home, because I'm not instilling anything in them. I'm trying to keep them away. So if I'm keeping them away, what am I giving them in place? And when these people come into your home, my autistic child literally said, I'm not speaking to you. You don't go to everybody else's house to inspect them. So why on earth are you coming to mine? My parents are fine. So what gives you the right to question my parents? And that's when I realized I need to get my child on board because they're going to take her and put her into a boarding school. and take care of her because I don't know what I'm doing with a child who speaks back to authority. So that's when I started scrambling and trying to figure out, how can I unify my home? How can I give them what they need? So I found something called leadership education. It's from America. It's based on the founding fathers of America and how they instituted a governmental framework. And was mind-blowing because it finally started unifying my brain on how I could teach my children. So they tell you to take an inventory of your child by yourself. And I recommend both parents do this because how you see your child and how your spouse sees your child can be polar opposites. And when you're able to then see your child, you're going to be able to make a homeschooling curriculum around them. And when you know your child well, and these people from the government are sitting on your couch opposite you saying, well, we're not good enough. Why is your child so special as to not put them into school? You're going to be able to harmoniously tell them, this is who my child is. So at the top of the page, I put their name, their age, their grade. And then you take an inventory of what are they enjoying, okay? What sparks their curiosity and what are their biggest interests? And I thought at first that these three words, enjoying, curiosity, and interest, is exactly the same thing. And I asked the three questions to my children, and they actually answered different things for each one. So I got, for what your child enjoys, was reading, karate, dancing, playing board games, playing with Play-Doh, running around outside. What sparks their curiosity? I got when they hear a noise, when they saw a butterfly, picking up rocks and seeing what was underneath the rocks and finding all the ants. Reading plaques at the museum, being creative with art supplies. Non-fictional books and actually fictional books. My kids have gone down more rabbit holes reading fiction than they did a non-fiction book. And then figuring out what are they interested in. Okay. Weird animals in the depths of the ocean was a huge one in my house for like 6 months. Ancient history, why we can and can't do things on Shabbat. Going around the world, they wanted to go on lots of trips and flying in airplanes, so lots of geography. Shows on YouTube tell you the amount of things that they have found on YouTube is crazy. Fashion, ballet, history of wars, dinosaurs, big trucks. Like, what do you see them occupying themselves during the day? Okay. And I think there's like 25 questions on that page. And then once you have once you've brainstormed all the ideas on the page that you did by yourself and the page that you've done with your children, okay, you can then merge all this information together. And this is going to be where you're going to choose the subjects and where you're going to choose what they're learning underneath these subjects to put it on the form to build their curriculum. And I'm going to show you in some later slides how I did that. Okay. You can also ask your children if they're coming up blank and not knowing what on earth to say. Did I just undo my camera? Yeah. Do I have to call tech support? My camera just came out. Nana, can you please go get Abba telling my camera stopped? Okay, you can still hear me though? Is my mic still working?
Yes.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Video's back. Video's back. Okay, sorry. Okay, great. Thank you. Okay. Okay. You can ask them. You can put a bunch of topics to them as well. Do you want to learn about volcanoes? Do you want to learn how a missile is made? That's very, very like current information that children want to know now. And geography lessons of where the missiles are coming from is also a very big lesson for now that I've seen in the homeschooling groups. That was, yeah, we did that. Do they want to learn about Japan do they want to learn about weird animals? They may say, I don't want to learn about Japan. I want to learn about Hawaii. I don't want to learn about weird animals. I want to learn about a flamingo. You're going to then, if you're asking them, do you want to go to the zoo? Do you want to go to the beach? Do you want to go to the museum? If you start asking them a little bit to just pick out from your child, you can then base it off these topics as well. See what they're reading, see what they're playing, look at what they're watching over their shoulder. Get to know who this kid is if you don't already know. Okay? For younger children, okay, you have a child in gun and they can't answer these questions because they're just curious about everything, or they're floundering from one thing to another, or they're just too young to know about this. This is where you come in as a parent. Okay, I keep forgetting it. Click it. Don't, okay. What are your strengths and what do you want to imbue in your child? What do you want to give them as an adult? Because you're not homeschooling just for your child. You're homeschooling because something's touched you here in your heart that you want to give them. Okay? So you need to now figure out what are your values? Because if you are sitting there in front of these people and you're like, well, I want to homeschool because it's better than sending my children to school because your schools aren't going to give them A, B, C, D, and E. They're going to be like, too bad. Like, no, you cannot criticize Misrad Chinuch. You have to tell them what you can give your child because they have this need. It's not what they're not going to get there. They have a need that I am able to fulfill at a greater capacity than what they can get between 8:30 and 2:30 in the school building. So, what are your values? Okay. Your values are the ideals most important in your life. They're going to shape your goals. Okay. What is your goal for your child? They're going to shape your priority. What are the, okay? What are you prioritizing for their education? What are their educational needs? Okay. And they also shape your identity as a person. Okay. So when you know what your values are, you'll be able to help you with the decisions of what to put in your curriculum because your values in some ways go against what Misrad Chinuch gives. So even though they say on their application that your values have to be in line with theirs, you have to show them that you're not contradicting them in the nicest way possible. Okay. You have to coat this application with honey. Okay. So your values are going to now help you determine how you spend your time with your kid, what to focus on with your children, and what is the most important things to learn with them this year. Okay, so you know a value is we need to do maths because they're going to come in and they're going to check these math workbooks. But I do not believe in using workbooks because it is one of the most boring tools ever made. And for a lot of children, it just puts them to sleep. I have some kids who love workbooks. And I have some kids who would rather put them outside in the bonfire and learn how to make a campfire and cook their own animals on top of it. Okay. You got to figure out what is it, okay, that you're going to be doing with them. Okay. Because we're going to want to know what materials you're using. Now, your value, mom, may be very different to the value of dad. But you're going to have to sit there together in front of these people and you're going to need to be on the same page. Because if mom and dad start fighting in front of the government people, bye-bye. Like, no, you need to be together. So coming together and shaping your family values is going to make these people feel very confident that you're not crazy wackos trying to keep your kids out of the buildings. Okay. Now, the next part is what is mine. This was my favorite part of homeschooling. I'm homeschooling because I have these things that I love and I want to give them to my children. I want to teach them nature walks. I want to teach them herbal medicine. I want to teach them poetry. I want to teach them to love learning. Now, your passions are going to be able to now be shared because you have your kids all day long. And you can either have your house in havoc or you can have your house in harmony. And also, I wanted to, one second, I had 3 different thoughts at the same time. You have time now during the day, if you're great at computers, to be able to sit with your child and teach them computers. You have time to do special art projects with them. You're going to have time to give them the things you grew up with and be able to bond with them over the things that you love and not be like, well, oh, mom and dad, I just sat at school all day and my head hurts and I need to go calm down and I just don't have any time and I'm really not interested in anything you have to say because I've just been with my friends and I'm resting and oh, now to go to youth group. You're able now, homeschooling, to share what you love with them and for them to also see you as an important person in your life and to see what makes you special as well. So, this of what is yours and what you're passionate about is whatever your heart desires. And what if you could give your kid one thing, two things, five things, what would you give them? And you can also put this into your homeschooling curriculum if you wish. Okay. Um, you could do family reads of quality books with them. You could do gardening. Is there a subject you were really great at as a kid when you went to school? You can start teaching them this. You're also showing the, sorry, I'm still getting my voice back. What you also love spend time doing, you can also see if they're interested as well. And if they're not interested, that's okay as well. But you can still figure out what you love and learn that as well. And for me, I started learning permaculture and my children started learning permaculture just by watching me learn permaculture. That I spoke about swales so much. My children, with never watching a video, just learned about swales just by me repeating my work all day long while they were doing their work. Okay, is my sound gone? Do other people still hear me? Someone said they
No,
lost
I hear
sound.
you.
Okay, so I still have sound. No. Okay. Okay. Now the next thing is what can you practically give them? Because I dream very, very big, but the bank account says differently. Okay. So can you do weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly trips, or can you do trips at all? Do you have buses? Do you have a car? Do you only want to learn at home, or do you want to learn outside of the house? Are you teaching everything? Are you hiring mentors? Are you hiring tutors? Are you going to get online programs? What do you have in the home already? How much time do you have? Working out all these details is then you can then going to be putting some of these things also into the application, which I'm going to show you in the examples. Okay, next hit. Okay, so why do we homeschool? Okay, so in front of you on the screen, I have 3 lists to break it down into. Are you homeschooling for lifestyle, education, or personal reasons? Lifestyle, I tell you, not having to wake up in the morning and having to catch the buses and having to make lunch boxes and finding the uniforms, it was the biggest gift I have ever had in my life. That was a huge one. You'd want a relaxed, no rush lifestyle. You want relationships, you want a bond. You feel like you're losing your kids, or you don't want to lose your kids. Okay? You want your family to be really tight knit. You just want to be off the conveyor belt. Okay? Your mentality. What is your mentality that you really need to homeschool? Okay? Do you want does your child need to learn outside in nature all the time? Are you homesteaders? Okay? And then what is your educational philosophy and learning style, which I'm going to tap into as well? Flexibility, critical thinking. You want your children to love learning. The type of school you want is not nearby. Okay? You want more play. You don't want to be stuck behind a desk. Motivation. You want your child to be motivated and not spoon-fed by a teacher. Okay? You don't believe in grades or life skills. They don't learn how to do taxes in school. They don't learn how to go shopping in school. They don't learn how to fix a car tire. Okay? What do you want them to be educated in? And then there's personal reasons. your child is too advanced for their age and therefore is going to have trouble in school for that because they'll get bored in class because they know everything the teacher's going to say already. Your child needs a slower pace. So, your child has dyslexia or dyscalculia, which is the math dyslexia. Is your child easily overstimulated and therefore will cause havoc in the classroom? They need to just be at home. Are they being bullied? And sorry, my child's mental health is much more important than putting them in school. They're going to be home now. Is your child very artistic? Dedication? Okay, I don't know. I would think it's a typo. Outside influences? Okay. You want to harness free thinking. They have an interest that requires an immense amount of time. Okay, like gymnastics, or they have a sport, or you are travelers. Okay. 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 Then the next is resources. Now you're going to go through the house and you're going to figure out what do you have on hand as a tool to be able to teach them with, because they're going to want to see this when they come and visit you. Okay. Lego is one of the biggest and most awesome homeschooling teaching materials ever created. Okay. Do you have rock collections? That's geology right there. Do you have a garden or marpet that they can play with outside? Do you have a local park? Okay. Books, art supplies, math manipulatives, toys, your kitchen. Okay. Where are you getting the knowledge from? Mentors, YouTube, encyclopedias, search engines, websites, books, online courses, pre-made curriculums, workbooks, experts. Do you know somebody nearby that you can reach out to or somebody who specializes in a field? And then all the places you can go to, the library, the museums, the art gallery, the hugim, the in-person courses, the beach, the zoo, the pond, the forest, nature reserves, archaeological sites, the landmarks. Okay, so once you get an amalgamation of all the things that are at your disposal to use, because there is so much out there, okay, you're gonna it's like just be writing this all down, and this is gonna be like, okay, these are my building blocks. Now, how does my child learn? How are they going to use all of this? Okay, because this was one of the most fascinating things I found when I was starting to study my children. Is that they all learn in a very, very different way. I have 4 very individual children. Some families, they are going to be cookie cutters where it's like copy paste and every single one of them does it their way. God did not give me that at all. Um, is your child a visual learner? Because if you have a visual learner, they're going to need videos. They're going to need pictures, graphs, lap books, flowcharts, timelines. They're going to be drawing and doing art. They need to see everything that they are learning. And then you have your auditory children, which I have one of those as well. Okay. Where she's like, just don't make me read anything. Please just let me sit and listen, and has a pencil in her hand, is just doodling and coloring. And I would read everything to her, or she would listen to online books or videos and just sit there and color. And she had to hear it all. And in a classroom, your child cannot do that. Okay, there's so much noise for them to filter out, and the teacher's just going to say, do this page, and then it just looks like gibberish to them. Okay, then you have your child who can't sit still, your kinesthetic learner. They're the ones who the teacher's constantly telling them, sit down, sit down, sit down, sit back in your chair, stop touching, stop fiddling, you're annoying all your classmates. That's your kinesthetic learner. They need dioramas, they need to be touching, they need to be building, they need to be running around every 10 seconds, standing up while learning, laying down on the floor while doing their work. And then you have your readers and writers. I don't have one of those. But all my kids read. They read so much. They need to read everything. Then when you're driving down the road, they're reading the signs on the street. They're reading what they see on the side of boxes. They're reading every single thing that comes in front of their face. They're the ones who can write essays. They're the ones who will be taking notes, making reports, doing journaling. So these are your 4 learners. Try and work out where does your child fit into these 4 categories? Because if your child is a kinesthetic learner, you've almost got a ticket out of school because they cannot handle being in a classroom. They're going to be disruptive. I don't really know if that really matters much in Israel because from what I've seen, they're all over the place most of the time. But auditory learners, they need a very, very different stimulus to a reader or writer. So see if you can fit them in a box. And I just want to thank my children for teaching me how to use ChatGPT to make these pictures for the slideshow. That was really fun. We had a lot of fun doing that together. Okay. After those 4, there can be subcategories where you may have a very analytical learner who is studying videos, pictures, or graphs. They're going to be making flowcharts and timelines. Okay. And they're going to need art on the walls. Okay. Okay. Then you have your linguistic kids who need to talk and talk and talk and talk. They're ones who can learn multiple languages. They're the ones who are memorizing all the songs. There's actually ways to teach a child through songs. One second. Okay. Then you have your children who need to live alone. Okay. Whereas the linguistic one is talking with the group. You're going to have your child who wants to be learning by themselves. And then you have your nature children who need to do everything by themselves. Okay. Okay, so once you figure that out, can you box yourself as a homeschooling family? It's not mandatory to do so, but can you do it? Do you have a homeschooling label? There are a few different types that I've picked out to just display. One is Charlotte Mason. This is where they have a 3-pronged approach of education is an atmosphere, a discipline, a life. It's a very classical literature-based learning, which they study a lot of the great works of literature, music, art, and thought. And it involves developing fundamental skills such as thinking logically and structuring one's thoughts. Then you have the Montessori, which is very hands-on, real-world skills, and where they determine the life skills to the child's age and their personality, so they can develop independence in all areas. And then there's the Waldorf anthrophilosophical, I can never pronounce that word, where it's a very holistic study of the human being, it's very based in imagination. Then you have your unschoolers, which is lesson-free, child-led, and the child is learning wherever they want, whenever they want. And then there's unit study, which I absolutely love unit study learning, where you take one subject and you learn all the different, you take one topic and you learn all the different subjects within that topic. Like animal unit study, geography would be where they live. Math is the weight, height, the populations of the animals. Biology is the anatomy and the life cycle of the animal. The history is of land where the animal is found, when they were discovered. And then you have art where you're making the animal out of clay and sewing, or you're making their paw prints. And then you go to a trip to the zoo or the pond or the pond or the forest. And you've learned all about all the subjects, just learning about animals, which is great for the younger kids. And then you have the eclectic homeschoolers, which I will definitely label myself as an eclectic homeschooler, where you just take a bunch of different disciplines and you use all of them depending on the child, the subject, and the need of the family. And then there's the road schoolers, world schoolers, leadership education, where it is very mission-based, very dependent on the child's education, that they deserve an education, and Sorry, my throat's starting to go. I've spoken so much. It's very detailed of why did Hashem send down this neshama? Why is this child here? What do they need? What is their purpose in life? And let's gear all their education just purely around what that child needs. Or it's your version of homeschooling. Who is your child? Why do you homeschool? Okay. Give me a, okay. So we'll go over the do's. If there are any questions, and I'm just going to take a big gulp of drink, and then we're going to look at all the examples and where to get the information. Any questions?
No, but so far it's really been helpful. This is really thorough, and I appreciate all the work you put into organizing this.
A pleasure. It was so much fun. I'm starting to figure out my mission in life just doing this. It was so much fun. And thank you, because it got me out of a really bad headspace. I was going through a lot of health problems. So it really, really it got me going again. So thank you.
Great.
I have a question, but I'm not sure. Maybe you will tell about it later. Are there any tests during the years?
Oh. Yeah. Tests. I actually forgot to write about that, so I'll mention that now. I don't like tests, which is
I
why
know,
I
but
don't
maybe
homeschool.
the government,
So,
they make tests. This is the
yeah.
question.
So on my last homeschooling visit, they wanted to test my children and check where they were in their Inuvrit. And quite a few of my friends actually accepted it, that they were going to test their kids. And I told them no. They wanted to test in math, Ivrit, and there was one or two other subjects. I can't remember. I'm blanking. And they were very concerned about my youngest child. She's 8 because she was not getting the Ivrit. And I said to them, I'm like, so you want me to tell my child that Misrad HaChinuch wants me to test your Ivrit because they're scared that you're not learning properly? And they were like, no, 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 no. I'm like, well, you're telling me this 8-year-old child who has never had a test in her life now all of a sudden needs to be tested, and she knows this work is not coming from her mother, and that mommy has to go and submit this to the government. Like, this is going to scare her. Why should I have to do this? And they actually gave in and did not accept it. But it really see, this is why I went through how thorough. My actual worldview states I do not believe in testing my child.
Of course. Yeah.
My child shows me they've learned by narration, which comes from Charlotte Mason, by just showing me that they can actually do the task, that I can leave them by themselves and they are doing the work. I'm monitoring them. I'm hovering and watching them all the time. So why should I have to fill out the test? You see the work here in front of you. So, but it really depends on who your rekezet is. Some people, like I have a friend who's like, you were so lucky they gave in to you because I had to submit for every one of my children. They don't like me. So depending how solid you are coming in and how much you're showing them on the visit will determine on whether or not they will push to test your kids. But it's because if they see a crack, they're going to dig in that crack. They're going to poke in it and they're going to want to know what's further down in there. So, yeah, it can be a bit scary.
But is there a law who tells you you must take a test?
I'm going to double check.
Okay.
I'm going to show you, and I'll also show you where the law is now on the website so you can read through it as well. I honestly use Google Translate, or I have an Israeli friend who speaks fluently who will help me go through it all. But yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Is there any other question?
By the way, if you copy and paste it into ChatGPT, it'll translate it too, or even Grok AI works much better than Google Translate for me now.
Which one was the second one?
The one off of X, you just have to have the X app. It was Twitter. Their Grok AI is much better. at translating, and it doesn't tell you I can't do it like ChatGPT does sometimes.
Oh, really? Cool. Yeah, because ChatGPT has told me a few times. I just
Yeah,
started
but-
touching it just now to just do the slideshow. So,
yeah. Anyways, it's much better than Google Translate. So yeah.
Thanks for that. That's a cool tip. Yeah, Ariella. Yeah.
Hey, sorry, I just finished a work call, so I joined like 5 minutes ago. So sorry I missed
That's cool.
everything.
That's what's recorded.
Really quick regarding AI, just well, first there's the AI, and then I actually have a question.
Yeah.
So with AI, I actually used I used Gemini before, but I have a premium version, and I feel like that also does a really good job. And so like last year when I applied for the first time, it was between Gemini, yes, the premium version, and also ChatGPT, the premium version, to actually like write and double check each other and cross-reference, in addition to like downloading all the, and I also know Hebrew relatively fluently, but when it comes to legal documents, I will not try, I don't trust myself. So I have to like triple, quadruple check everything. But yeah, I heard lots of good things about Grok as well, but just make sure that when you're using AI, just double, triple check, because it will get things wrong, even if you tell it exactly what you're looking for, and it'll still get it incorrect, and it says, oh, sorry, you're right, I was wrong. Like, just keep that in mind when you're using it, and like Esther said, have somebody double check.
Yeah.
That's one thing. So
Awesome. Thank you for that.
so
Also,
we're
yeah.
go ahead.
No, also, the AI can also be very biased as well.
Yeah.
And it could go against your, it could go very corrupted data as well. So you have to be very careful with what you're using it for. Don't just leave your kids to play with it ever. It's like, watch what they're doing. Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, we're actually, okay, well, shoot. Okay, now I'm going off my question entirely. But right now, I'm lucky enough to have a nephew who has a very, well, I can't, I actually signed an NDA, but because we're testing his AI platform, but it actually is really, really cool. So, but it's a highly controlled environment. So, when that comes out, I'll go ahead and share it with the group because I think it should be really interesting as like a supplement. But my question is, and let me know if you already answered it. If that's the case, I'll just watch the recording. But my son was born here, born in Israel, in Tel Aviv, et cetera, for various reasons I won't go into too much. We have a a trilingual household, but he only speaks English. And we because that's what a 12-year-old kid with trilingual parents does. They only speak English in Jerusalem. And so, I mean, it was basically 3 years during like the 2 to 5-year-old period where we lived in the US, and he was only exposed to English the entirety of his time there. But so when they came, they told us, because where we are, like it's relevant for Arabic, not for Hebrew. But they said, okay, he has to know Arabic by the time that the school year is over, and he also has to get like a whole speech development thing, because he was nervous. Like you were saying, he was so nervous about having the home visit. And even though, I mean, she had horrible English, really bad Hebrew too, and she wanted to speak to him alone, and he was like panicking. So just like make sure it's clear to them, for sure that, there's an anxiety issue if that's the case, number one. But number two, like, so with a test, like if for example, if they wanted to test him, they insist on testing him, and they're not happy with the results of like his language learning. So is there a way that they can force him back into a school, but they won't and they won't even provide them with any help, because they're like, oh no, he's not eligible. I'm trying to think of the English words. He's not eligible for it because he's not an Oleg Chadash or anything. Like, why doesn't he know Hebrew or Arabic or whatever? So like that's my main fear, is that they're gonna say, okay, he's not at whatever level that we determine to be right. We're gonna put him back in the school and not provide him any help because he doesn't meet any of the learning challenges issue, and then he also doesn't meet the language which we decided that he should know.
Okay,
Is
so
that a clear question? I don't know if that's clear.
hang on. Yeah, no, I think it's clear. I think it's clear.
Okay.
You have done the speech evaluations and you have done the
Yeah,
testing?
We did, and the guy laughed us out of there. He's like, "Why are you bringing him in here? He has no speech problems at all."
Well, that's great. You just need to give that to them. And
Yeah,
because one of their professionals has gone and said, your child is completely fine.
right. And we had another, like, we did the psychodidactic as well, and they're like, the guy was just like, "Look, we can't find any specific issue other than the anxiety. You can't, like," they're like, he needs to have some, and he has to have like twice as long for any tests that they proctor. And he
See
has to have
this,
somebody with him to like during those exams, and that's it.
yeah, so I had also a lot with anxiety. Like these kids have gone through Corona and now
Yeah,
a war. Like I'm
yeah.
surprised not more children are being pulled out of schools because of anxiety. I really am in shock of it. That a lot
I
of
think they're just pushing against it so hard because they want everybody to fit in the box.
it completely. It is 100%. The box is the best place to live. They want us all in boxes. It's easier to label and control us. But it's if you're saying the specialist is saying there's no problems. Also, the child is 12 years old, should not be speaking alone with anybody who comes to your house. You can tell them no. No, my child like has anxiety issues. He is not going to speak alone. It's actually it's illegal for them to ask your child if they want to go to school or stay at home to learn. And
Okay.
every single person will come and visit and will ask your child, "Are you sure you don't want to go to school? Because
God,
we'll
everybody.
love to have you." It's completely illegal, and they'll still do it. So you have to say, "Thank you, but my child, it's not my child's decision. I, as their parent, have decided they're at home." One sec. Um, um, what someone calls it? Sorry, crying baby who think needs to nurse. Um, boom, boom. It's a battle. There could be. I'm trying to look to see if there's anybody in the Israeli system. Are you connected to like the Israeli network of like of the Israeli network here in Israel of homeschoolers?
So, no, so yeah, no. We're in East Jerusalem, so they put us in the like I mean we're in Misad Chinuch, but we're like in the Arab thing, and then there's basically almost nobody here who does homeschooling in this particular sector.
Okay, so Nicole was saying earlier, she's in
Hmm.
head of the just became in charge of the Jerusalem meetups there.
Okay.
Maybe, hey, there's Nicole, she's here. Um, maybe you two afterwards talk and see if there's anybody there who's familiar with the people there in Yerushalayim, like the Rekezets. Is there anybody, any ways to get around learning Hebrew? Are there any other supports to get him more involved?
Right. I mean, I would love for him to learn the language, but it's a purely psychological block, so to
And I
speak.
think
So
also a lot of it is the child. Like I had a child who was selectively mute, and they were getting me to test her to see if she's talking. I also had one after we made Aliyah, my Hana. Um, they had the gun, like she's not really talking or really playing with the kids. Go get her tested. I got her tested. She was completely on par. They worry, they see one little thing and it's like, go test, go check, go test, go check. Like you go to the like to the doctor's office. Oh, this one little thing. We're going to attend you for 100 tests. It's this over concern and this over worry. And you have to
mhm.
say, like, my child knows he just doesn't want to talk because he wants to, what's the word I'm
Mm,
looking
he just
for?
doesn't want to.
He just doesn't want to. He speaks English.
So
He's happy with English. We know he understands us because when we tell him to go do ABC, he goes and does it when we speak to him in these languages. He just
yeah.
doesn't want to write. What are you looking for? On my bed in my room. Yeah, big pile. Um, what's call it? So yeah, but we'll talk about this more. We could talk about this more one-on-one afterwards
Sure.
because it's already a quarter to 10. And
Yeah, sorry.
okay,
Thank you.
it's cool. Don't worry. Hang on, Brooke. I see your hands up. What's up? Where did she
Hi.
go? Hey, yeah,
Yeah, hi. Can you hear me?
I can hear. Yeah, just your box moved on my screen. That's all.
Oh, sorry.
It's cool.
Thank you so much for doing this. This is so
Oh,
helpful. I'm actually in the States, and we've been looking. We keep looking over to Israel as a one day maybe coming
yeah.
over, but and we're currently homeschooling right now here, and I was curious to find out, we have something called like an umbrella in the States where we can review with, not with our government but with like another organization who then reports for us. And it kind of is like a more relaxed kind of experience. Does that exist in Israel?
I wish.
Okay.
No,
Okay.
no. Israel is very, what's I'm looking for? They don't have things like that.
Okay.
No, it goes through the Rekezet, and in each, because we're very small. It's not like you have like these huge states like in the US.
Yeah.
It's very small, but in each city they have their own Rekezet who comes and checks. And even when you submit the documents into the parents portal, you don't send it to the same people don't get it. It goes up to the head, and depending on where your city is, they have different people within the government hierarchy in the different towns who will look over your application. So there's one department and then different people within that department in different places in Israel. But no, there's no. Yeah, unfortunately, we're not like them yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh well. Thanks.
That's cool. Cool. What happened? Okay. Just give me a blanket. Yeah. Okay, so we're going to go over the do's and don'ts, which I think I've already done a lot of. And new, let's click share. And then we'll go over to the portal. Okay. Uh-oh, where did I lose you? Okay. Just want to make you bigger. Okay. So when you do your application, do describe your homeschooling vision and philosophy. Do elaborate on the beauty of your child and their love of learning. If your child is not on the grade level for their age, okay, then write what level they are at for math and English, for the languages that they're doing. Now, one second, can we just move the cups so we don't have shattered? Thank you. Okay. The ministry loves seeing ministry approved curriculum books. What? Okay. So if your philosophy is against using workbooks, okay, then you have to make sure that when they come in the house, you have written proof that they're doing these subjects and give examples of what they're using. Okay. So as we went before with the list, what do you have on hand? Okay. So can you pass me this pile? So when they come in, a lot of you Americans will be familiar with this series. They translated it into Hebrew. What's her name? Julia Rothman. Julie Rothman wrote this on ocean and the food. So we're going to show them for marine biology. We use this book, okay? For Hebrew, we used this Ivrit book, okay? For math, we used this book. And then I forgot to get the two other things and put them here on the table. But I'm going to show you them, the lap books that I did. I'm going to show you them, the other little workbooks that we used. Okay.
How
If
does
you're
that
using
work for kids that are supposed to be in GUN? Like
Huh?
there's like how does that work for kids that are supposed to be in GUN? Like is there certain things that they're supposed to know at a certain age?
So yeah, I'm going to show you all those things next. Okay. I have
Okay.
all the
So you
tabs
can-
already open. Okay.
Okay, sorry.
It's cool. If you're using an online math curriculum, okay, or any other curriculum that's online, make sure that you have printable proof that they're using that. Like if you're using Khan Academy, you've printed out the report card or the levels that they're at, or make sure it's available for them to look at when they come to see you. Okay. The other thing is that if it goes with your philosophy again, they love to see that your child is in a chug run by the local matnas, the local community center here, because they want to see that your child is still a part of society. Okay, they don't want your child to be only with homeschoolers. They want to see that you are still involved with everybody around you. Okay. And the next thing is, do not assume that nobody reads the forms. Okay. If you do this, you are shooting yourself in the foot. They said in the beginning they want a cohesive worldview, and making a cohesive worldview is going to be for your benefit. It's you're seeing where you're going. You're going to be coming across as a team. Okay. Do not criticize the Misrata Chinuch saying, well, you're going to do this to my child, or my child suffered like this in school. You gotta, don't be combative and argumentative. Be gentle and beautiful, saying we saw that their mental health was not doing well. They were developing all these issues, and they're going to be home now because of these things. Our psychologist has agreed upon it with these things. The other big thing is, do not say that you are an unschooling family. For some reason, the government hates the term unschoolers, which is why I went through the other homeschooling philosophies. If you are a Waldorf family, if you're a Montessori family, if you're a classical literature family, these are things the schools here cannot give. So finding a philosophy that the schools cannot give and you do is going to give you more points with your application. Okay, so my Hannah wanted me to use her as an example, my Hannah and my Noah, who are both asleep. So I went through with my kids. Okay, my Hannah's 8, second grade. I figured out her learning style is solitary, nature, kinesthetic. She wants to only be outside. She's still learning how to read. She's curious about art and flowers and bugs and animals. She loves baking. She wants to know about different countries, and she's very whimsical. Okay. My Noah, who's 11, is on basically the polar opposite. Okay. She's into, shh, that's my Ellie. She's 1. Okay. My Noah's visual, analytical, and social. She likes to learn indoors, laying on the floor. She's bilingual in Hebrew and English. She's a voracious reader. She reads everything. She's curious about classical literature, about how things work. She loves science, riding her bike. She loves studying Tanakh, the books of the prophets. Okay, and she loves ancient history. Now I have a child 8 and 11, and I want to learn with both of them, so I'm not spending all my time teaching all day one style and teaching another style. How can I give this over? Shh. Okay. Okay. So when I start, okay, so I'm going to show you first, where did I get the information? Then I'll go through the examples. If I can do this. Okay. Okay. Do. Can I get you to move? Because I can't see because of the Zoom thing. All right. Firstly, where am I getting books from, things from? No, sorry, I'm starting here with the parent portal. Okay. This is the parent portal. I'll post all these links as well into the chat, so don't worry about trying to write them down. It does come in Hebrew, but I use Google Translate. Thank you. Okay. Yep, you're gonna sit up. Okay. On the Chinuch Beiti site, I'm gonna put it in English so everyone can read it, including myself. It's gonna go through. One second. Okay. Okay. On here, it's going to go through their messages of when you can and cannot submit the application. It's going to go through the authority, who is going to be reading it. If there's any problems, you're going to go to Nana. Thank you. Okay. Okay. As it says here, December 1st to April 30 is when it can be submitted. The exceptions to submitting it, if you're an Ole Hadash, if you're returning to the country, about putting in your address. And then it's going to go through here what all the paperwork that you need to submit, which I went through at the beginning of the class, the list of documents, and then right underneath here is about the visit, if the child is going back to school and leaving homeschool. Okay. Over here where it says links, if you click this, it's going to open a new tab. this is where I summarized all the laws. Okay, here my computer automatically translates, which does not help me with learning Hebrew. All of the laws. So if you go down here, so if you need to check something, this is where I got all the information from. Then right here in useful forms, you're going to open it. It's going to give you, it's called Nespach Echad, and then they have Shtayim v'Shalosh. And up here, when we went through, sorry, it went down. Over here, where it says a scanned application, where it's highlighted in blue, and the confidentiality waiver form, these are the exact same documents. And I shouldn't have closed that. Back here with the list of laws, when you go all the way down at the bottom, those forms are also here as well. So the exact same thing. There's only 3 of the forms that you have to submit in the portal. Sorry. I'll just go back down again. Over here is where you open a request. Does anybody need me to actually show them within the portal how to submit inside, or is everybody fine with just seeing this page? Does anybody need to actually see inside the portal or not?
I think we can figure that part out once we have the website.
Okay. Okay. Let me just go back. How do I change my view again? Okay. Now, to get the information, there are awesome websites like Kotar, which is where I got the Misulalim book. So over here, you can get the book. Now, the easiest thing to do for when you're writing your curriculum for math is to open the front of the book, or on the website, it'll literally tell you, where did you guys all go? It will literally tell you at the front of the book what the subjects are, and then you just write them down. The same thing with Ivrit. In here in the book, if you click it, it'll just open. And on most of these, it will give you an index of the inside of what's in there. For some reason, it's not working with this one. Here, I'll also paste this link with Ivrit. They have all the books. You can go in here into Ivrit and go into the curriculum down here in the bottom. It'll tell you, it turns the pages. It'll tell you all the subjects that they're going to be learning in that book as well. You can literally say, look in the website online, because you don't need to provide the book. You don't have to be owning the book while you're putting the application, and just write down what is going to be discussed in the workbook. Or if you're not using the workbook, what are you teaching that is required for that year, and what tools you're using instead. Okay, if I go back to the slideshow, I'll show you over here. 1 second. Okay, let's blow this back up. Okay. So I'm just jumping from screen to screen. Okay, so I wrote for gun. We're going to start with gun. We are using the Charlotte Mason Classical Liberal Arts Educational Philosophy, which complements the gun curriculum. Using this gets me out of using any workbooks or using their philosophy they're using for gun. Are you allowed to use workbooks in English for math and other subjects? I did. They didn't like it, but I showed them how I'm supplementing everything with Hebrew. So yes, I am an English speaker, but as part of my Noah's curriculum, I had her translate everything that she was learning into Hebrew. So I had like the oceanography books. I had books in Hebrew. I had books in English, which we used. She went back and she'd have to read it in Hebrew and translate it for me. And part of me was like, this is really bad that my 11-year-old is having to translate. And the other part of me is like, hey, this is homeschooling. She's like, if she doesn't learn Hebrew, she's going to be like me in her 30s, not being able to speak. Okay. So, second. Okay. Hannah is learning her alphabet and patterns through a hands-on Montessori approach. We use alphabet primers, storybooks, counting objects, flashcards, and more. Math is using the Montessori method. She's using an abacus, math manipulatives for counting, and learning to identify shapes and making patterns. Charlotte Mason curriculum believes that the child should not learn to read or write until age 6. So I then have taken off the pressure of telling them that I'm teaching her alphabet while she is in Gun, which is the children by Kita Aleph already know all the alphabet by going into first grade. They're learning all the vowels or the nikodot in Kita Aleph. So knowing my curriculum and my philosophy showed them how this was not going to work in my house, why I had to be different from the educational system. Hannah is read to every single day by her sister or during family story time. She's been learning as she's at the table when I'm learning with her sister, so she's learning the other topics. She will narrate the story back to us, which harnesses her knowledge and also shows why I don't have to test my child. She has piles of picture books on her bed. She's excited to start reading on her own. And for science, we do nature walks. She will learn the difference between animate and inanimate objects. She loves to identify plants and animals. She's fascinated with the world around her. And then I went through what she does for Torah, how it's art, and how she narrates again. Art and music. She has a whole stocked art cabinet with beading and paints and watercolor and glue and feathers. She has music playing. She has Israeli CDs and Jewish music. For sports and health, she loves being in the kitchen. She's cutting the vegetables. She helps bake with her big sister Nahama. And she learns anatomy lessons with her big sister Noah, making a full-size body picture of herself. And she's going to draw in her organs. And sport, she goes to acro dance and the matnas, and she socializes with her friends. Now, how did I know to put all this on the form? Where did I leave? Gan Yeladim. This is the portal from Misrad HaChinuch. This is where all the curriculum is. This is where the teachers log in, where their pay slips go, where all the laws are written. This portal is your friend. I'll show you the front page soon. I'm just sticking here with a gun so I don't lose the tab. There's this amazing, I'm gonna change it to English. Okay, kindergartens have.
Yeah, we're still looking at the Canva.
You're still looking at Canva? Oh, 1 second. I'm sorry. I stopped presentation. Is it gone now?
We're still seeing the Canva page. Or at least I am.
Okay, 1 second.
Yeah, you
Stop
might
the
have have it in a
presentation.
different window.
Yeah.
Why it
Just
says that it's
the tabs.
paused.
Okay.
One
Maybe stop
second.
entirely and
Yeah, I'm trying to just figure out how to do that. 1 second. Stop. Okay, 1 second. Is it working now?
Nope. Now it's your desktop.
Great. Okay, so let's get back to kindergarten. Okay, does you see the kindergarten now?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay. Hey, we're learning on the job, just like homeschoolers. Okay. In here is, 1 second, let me just make sure. Yes, it's loaded. Good. This is their new website. They have updated everything. It is over the top. It is very easy to get lost. That is what I can say. Very, very easy to get lost in here. If you have the time, you can look through this website. Where is, okay. I honestly, when it came to the Ganim, I did not like it. I could not find the information I needed. So my husband taught me this amazing website called The Wayback Machine, web.archive.org, where their old website is still saved. And it was the biggest gift ever. Okay, in here, they have broken it down so it is so simple. This is a Ganim. You'll have here kindergarten, so that there's I forgot to mention this in the beginning. There's Mamlachti, which means secular, Mamlachti Dati, which means religious, the religious framework, but the Mamlachti means public school. Mamlachti is just plain public school. Mamlachti Dati is public school for religious Jewish students. Then they have the Haredi system. I actually learned Chabad is part of Mamlachti Dati. It's not Haredi. And then they have the Arabic school system, and they have Druze, and they also have special for the Samaritans that live down the street in Shechem, their own guidelines. So when you're looking at the websites, you need to check if you're going with Mamlachti or Mamlachti Dati. The current, I could not, with the grades and the older grades it does, with the Ganim, I could not find it. Okay. So, but with the older grades, I could, and I'll go through each of those with you. So here, if we click mathematics, I should have loaded this beforehand. It is a really, really slow to load up the Wayback Machine because it's dusting off the cookies. They are going to tell you, I wish I would have kept this open from before I loaded it while I was talking. They're going to tell you very, very simply in step by step what exactly is needed. Come on, come on. Like here, if I scroll in here, if they have like financial education that they're trying to teach the kids when the new portal. They have binders, give and take, recorded lessons, but I couldn't find, oh, here, second. Here we have Umanut, but when, okay, I forgot here. Umanut, I could not find. I did find this really cool PDF. If you scroll down, there was art, math and games of examples that they're teaching in the gun of games they're doing with their kids. So if you can translate this document, that'll help. I saw it down here, like they have learning the calendar, which I did a lot with my kids. Learning the calendar, music with math, and songs, echad, shnayim, shlosha. I can't pronounce that word, okay? But different songs that you can do with them. I can share this link as well. And then a little bit further down, they have like much bigger songs. So here you're learning Ivrit and you're learning math at the same time. Okay, if you have an Israeli friend who can teach you, that's even better. This one, Legan HaYeladim, Tochnit Limodim, had a whole lot of charts. So if you just turn the screen around, will it turn? Here. Sifri, they'll go through the books. They're learning 1 till 30. They're learning takeaway, like 1 till 20. Next page. This will tell you these are the different subjects that they're learning in gun, and you could do it for 3, 4, and 5-year-olds. Okay, they're learning time. They're learning money. They're learning. No, they don't learn odd and even until older. Okay. Here they're going to have where it's required for which ages. Gil 3 to 4, 4 to 5, 6 to 5. Okay, the numbers till 5, numbers 10 to 12. So if you go through and here they have the songs, books they're learning, they're using to learn with the kids for examples. Here you'll say Sifriya Ahura. I don't know what that word means, but it's only required for ages 5 to 4 and 6 to 5. So you're going to have to be a little bit of a super sleuth and pick and choose as well from here if you're even doing math at this age. Okay, are you just learning are you learning numbers or not? And at age 3, or are you waiting until they're 5 years old? Okay, here it's loaded. Oh, okay, so on the Wayback Machine, so we did this page, I clicked math, and then I click this pink dot, knowledge. Okay, it's again going to take a bit of time to load because I did not refresh it earlier. Again, Omanot with knowledge. Okay. Is it loaded? No. Here again with the portal in the kindergarten, the main subjects they're teaching is visual arts, physical education, science and technology, from what I remember, was mainly inanimate and animate objects. Music, math, language. I don't know why they have English. But here in science and technology, if you again translate to English, here's the curriculum. It has it in Hebrew or Arabic. Okay, these were their subjects: celestial bodies and weather. So they're talking about the sun, the stars, the clouds in the sky, man-made worlds, the computers that are around us, living things, animals and plants, and then environmental education, lots of growing plants. But these are the main subjects for science. For music, listening to quality musical treasure, performances, singing, dancing. So if you've got Waldorf philosophy in your house, dude, you have like everything possible if that's your philosophy. Here, okay, on the old website, if you want it really simple, the concept of numbers, which I showed you in the document, and then spatial sense and geometry, everyday life in kindergarten, which is basically teaching them everyday day-to-day life skills. And the bottom, you'll see towards reading and writing, math, science and tech, physical education, arts life. If you click one of these, it'll take you to the knowledge section without having to go back to the main page. So is that cool with gun, or does anybody need something else when it comes to gun before I get to the oldest kids? Okay. So we'll
I think
get
as
now.
long as we just know that we get the link to that, because I don't know
Yeah.
how to find that on my own.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna be sending all the links out tomorrow. Definitely
Great,
sending them
thank you.
all out tomorrow. Okay, now the big kids. Was this the one? No, that's just a new tab. I had it already before. Elementary for state education. Okay, oh good. Yeah, let me get these pages loaded. Okay. All right, here's Eve Reet. So this is again the same website. It's the old one. And I just opened it up for Hebrew for grade 6. And if you look through, it tells you these are the concepts they're teaching in Hebrew for grade 6. Listen and speaking, reading and understanding, writing text, linguistics. And then it says list of literary works. And then during each quarter, you do not need to break your curriculum up by quarters either. Do not try and, unless you really want to do it by semester and show that you're really organized of this is what we're doing. It also has within the old website, which I found was so much easier for me, was again in state education, in state religious education, in the Arab and Bedouin, and in the Druze and the Samaritan sections. So automatically, if you go into there, you're going to be able to click into the sector that you're filling out your application for. Also, then when it comes to the Haredi sector, that's a whole different thing. Also, when it comes to the Haredi sector, you have a lot of the times they make you go to Yerushalayim to be checked. They don't come to your house. Okay, so let's go here to the main page, which I did not set up as the next tab. I thought I had. Okay. No, this is the wrong. No. Okay, it's the wrong page. Okay. On the I'll get the main page and I'll post that in the link. It's already 10:15. People are going to get tired. At the top of the page of the portal, you're going to see, here, I'll put in English. The knowledge area is the first tab in the pedagogical space. I can't pronounce that. Basically, it's a teaching staff portal. It's going to have areas of expertise as the main tab, or if you just scroll down on the sidebar, knowledge areas of learning. And this is the updated area of the old website. And if you go here, it's going to break it down for Gane Yeladim, Umanut, which is arts, Chinuch Gufi, which is physical education, Kishrei Chaim, which is life skills, Mada, which is science. I don't remember what Mosheret is. Math, Safa, and then English. So if I just translate this. Okay, heritage, math, language, enrichment, and English. I don't know why when they changed it for English for younger kids. But in here, you can click through if you want to research. Thorough, it means grades 1 to 6, right? I'm getting tired. Yeah. Yesodi is grade 1 to 6. Chativa is grade 7, 8, and 9. And then it goes into the Bagrut levels. So these are all the subjects available for grades 1 to 6. I'll put it back into English. You'll see in the list that has history in Druze, history in Arab. I didn't. Then also here it breaks down Ivrit, Arabic, Hebrew for Druzen, Samaritans, Hebrew and Arab, and Bedouin. And then they also have Hebrew for Olim as well. And then they have Arabic, and then they have Talmud Torah. They have Bible in secular subjects. They have Bible in the Jewish subjects, in the Dati subjects as well. So in this website, everything is broken down. So if you go here, I already had it open. So here, we're going to go to mathematics. Okay, on the next page is a bunch of squares. Tochnit halimudim is curriculum. Okay. Then it's going to go Tochnit limudim leganei yeladim, and then Tochnit limudim lebeit sefer yisodi. It's going to break it down into the different grades. So let's go with Kita Gimel. It's going to give you all the requirements for the math that you are required to teach that year. In brackets on the side, it says 15 with a shin. That means 15 hours, 3 hours, 67 hours, the amount of hours you're meant to spend. You don't have to worry about spending that amount of time teaching your child. It's basically, is your child learning that math subject that year? They're very, very pedantic on math and language. So that is a very, very easy breakdown. Then if you go down, they also have it here in Arabic. Okay, I can't translate the Arabic on my page, but I'm pretty sure that is those are all the Arabic requirements for their classes. And then I did not go any further down the page, but explore. Just click on things and explore. Okay. No, you don't need an account. This is all public information. So this is all completely open. You don't need to log in for any of this. Okay, I'm going to send all these links, so don't worry about having to keep track of everything right now. Okay, and you'll also have the replay to watch back. What is my next tab? That was Hebrew. This is okay. Okay. This was language. Okay. For language, this is the Ivrit for Israel, for Hebrew speakers. Here's the curriculum for state and the state religious elementary school. So it breaks down all the materials that they use within the school. It was extremely overwhelming to scan through. Okay, but this amazing gem is list of literary works for teaching. If you click this of works for grades A to B, okay. Okay, this wasn't a good one. Let me get here 3 to 4. I'm pretty sure it was 3 to 4. No, 1 second. Okay, where did it go? I'm so sorry. Here. I'm going to find the link. I was clicking the wrong link. This gives you all of the texts that they're going to be actually using within the classrooms. This was a for 5 and 6. I'm going to find the link exactly, or I may just send over these files. But it goes through and gives you, is it a midrash? It works on belief. Okay. Birkat Amazon, but it'll tell you, and then you can go buy these books or just get them at the library. So you're going to be able to list, these are the works that you're going to be doing for language arts. Okay. This was the webpage for Ivrit as a second language, where there's down at the bottom they have chapters of workbooks that you can use. And
I have a question.
yeah.
Do I if I'm homeschooling in the way of unschooling, and I have actually, or we use our own literature, we use our own books. So it means this is not a good way to show. So we should
No,
bring
show it.
in, yeah,
Show it. I'm just saying, if right now you don't know which direction you're going, you're making aliyah,
yeah,
you want to make sure you get an impression, or you want to keep things so that way they see you're mixing what your philosophy with theirs as
yeah.
well. These are resources that you can use. They just
Okay,
don't like unschoolers.
okay,
They don't want that terminology. So they want to see that you have a philosophy that is not an unschooler, that your child has a structure to the day. They know, you know what they're doing. This is what they're using.
okay,
Okay.
okay.
Yeah.
And as a foreigner, when you come here and you decide, so of course you want to learn Hebrew, is there any support what they can give you in the beginning, or support in books and stuffs, where you learn Hebrew from the beginning? Because we learn Hebrew as a second language, not as a first language. And so that you can go to the level. I mean, this is our aim as well, that
So
we speak it fluently.
Ulpan is only given to adults.
Mm-hmm.
And if a
Okay.
child is to get Ulpan, it's only through the schools.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
like in Beit Shemesh, my children went to an Ulpan. It was 14 hours a week in school.
Yeah.
My daughter went for 2 years.
Yeah.
But second they become if they're a homeschooler, the children do not get Ulpan.
Okay. So you have to.
You have to find a way to teach your child Ivrit by yourself.
Okay. Okay. Good
Yeah.
to know. Okay.
Yeah, the
Thank you.
government's not going to help you. So
Yeah.
that's
But this is the same in Denmark as well.
yeah, it's the same in Denmark. Yeah. No, a school will not accommodate a homeschooler. If I said it at the beginning, with the laws, that once you get a permission from the government to homeschool, you are no longer entitled to any benefits whatsoever from the government. You're on your own.
Okay.
You find
Okay.
all your own resources.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
which is why a lot of the time, children, the children, they sometimes make aliyah, they go to school, they get the ulpan, they get the Hebrew immersion, and then they homeschool later. That's why that can also happen that way. Okay. So just to finish up, okay. So I'm going to send all these links for the website. And here at the end, this was the Ganium. Sorry, that was Ganium. This was the main page where you'll be able to go through each of the classes and use the old system if you want a very abbreviated outlook of what they use each year in school, in the curriculums. Okay, let's go back to the slideshow and give a little bit more examples. Okay. Here was math. So when I wrote for grade 1 and grade 6, everything again was in Hebrew. I went, math is taught with manipulatives. I just wrote down each of the topics that we were going to cover that year, and I did not go into extreme details. I just put down that they were using the Mislulim books 1, 2, 3 in Geometria, which is required for Kita Aleph, and the Mislulim books for Kita Vav in book 16, 17. For language, what I just show you on the Ivrit pages, it was a point. Reading and understanding, writing text, getting to know and understand structures in the Hebrew language, to getting to know the history of language. And then in Ivrit, it was just point form, which was basically almost a copy and paste from the website. And she will choose a number of texts from the appointed list on the Hebrew Misrad HaChinuch Hebrew language curriculum list. Zehu. I had a kid, my dyslexic child, who was in grade 8. She is getting tutoring lessons. She's working on her conversational skills. She's learning how to read passages. She's reading her books. I made it a little bit blasé, where I didn't list what she was using because we were figuring out as she was going along what she needed. But I was using all the key words of what they're going to be looking for to know that she's following along. Here was geography, a unit. So the types of maps, different countries, looking at their flags, the capital cities. And for my family, we were studying the Jewish population of each country, how many shuls they have, how many schools, how many stores. And because we were doing Charlotte Mason, we were using the book 80 Days Around the World as our guide for which countries we were going to be learning. Okay. And we were reading in English and Hebrew. So that way, Ima is able to teach because it's in English, but they're working on their language skills by using the Hebrew book and having to translate. And then as a unit study, I can't take her. No. And then as a unit study, I was able to have my second grader working at the same time as my 6th grader, learning the same things, but to a younger, at a smaller amount. Okay. Grade 4, sport, health, and science. I lumped all those subjects into one thing. I didn't worry about getting pedantic in all the different details. She's active, she's a gymnast, she's going to the matnas, she's going to be doing the human body. I listed in the books that we were using at home. We're doing a study of native plants when we're going on our nature walks. She loves foraging and eating wild plants. I incorporated her sister's name to show that it was a group work together as a family, that they're observing together. We were doing nature books together. They're stopping and they're being curious, looking at the butterflies and bugs. So that was, I didn't have to then break it into what do we do for science? What are we doing for health? No, we are living life. These things are a unit. It's not individual subjects. Grade 6 science, we used the Good and the Beautiful curriculum. So I basically went to the front of the curriculum, wrote down the different topics in the book, and put that down. Because science is fun. Schools here don't have chemistry labs. So the fact that I was able to use my kitchen as a chemistry lab was much to our advantage. Torah examples, because we're Mamlechti Dati, I have to go and put the parsha things. But again, we did a timeline for Purim for the visual learner. Pesach was the Haggadah. Okay. Values is being touched on Perkei Avot. We're going to finish in about 5 minutes. I know she's done. Okay. Art is not its own subject. It's in everything we do in life. Life skills is doing their friends, learning lessons on healthy communication and expressing emotions. We're doing time management. And this was actual just screenshots of my curriculum that I wrote in English, but it was translated into Hebrew. Zoology, point form, vertebrates, invertebrates, habitats, ecosystems, keywords to show that you know what you're teaching. And on the top of her curriculum, I did not put her grade. I said we're using Charlotte Mason, which complements our religious learning. Ivrit, she's doing Aleph Bet and Nekudot. And then the maths, very, very simple. This was my autistic child, who said that she has a soul of a tortured artist and she draws and reads all day. She wrote this all of herself. She was 15, I think, when she did this one, and she submitted some of her art when she did it as well. And she was learning about the periodic table of elements, and she's learning about the Hopi Indians. She went and she didn't care, and she wasn't worried because she wasn't doing her bagrut, and she knew she wasn't getting a homeschool diploma. She learned what she wanted. And then the breakdown of the schedule. So this was when she was in Gan Chava, and I wasn't sure if I could do it on not in line with the normal conveyor belt system of by hours. So I went and did tefillah, half an hour, sport, and I broke it down into hours and half hours. And she finished at 2:30, where she had a chugim. So that was the simplest way. Okay, and they accepted it. Then last year, when we were applying, my one who was went and she made this beautiful creation in Canva. And if you'll see there's spots where it says Bechira, like here and here and here, that's where she got to choose what she wanted to learn. And as you can see, there's no times. She has to wake up and do her chores. She davens, she does math, she does English, geographia, and she then got to choose what she wanted. And her major was Mahol. Everything was through dance. And then before bed, they learned Tanakh. And then my Noah, again, she was going into grade 5. Again, Tefillah, Cheshbon, Pirkei Avot. Pirkei Avot was also copy work and was her Ivrit lesson at the same time. She was learning for bat mitzvah lessons, Guf Hadam, her human body. But this is what they knew they had to learn that day, and there's no times at all, just the subjects of what they're expected of. And then would have a trip day. So it didn't always happen, but that was the easiest for hers. And then when they came to the house, I showed them this was a breakdown of what she was doing that week. And we had all of her lessons by lessons written out of what she had to do. Okay. So that is basically everything. And then let's find you guys again. So that's it, basically the end of the presentation. I'll send out all the links. Is there any other questions or anything that people want to discuss? Because I'm happy to do another Zoom in another few days and we could discuss a few more things or to clarify.
I think just thank you so much.
A pleasure. It was fun. It
Good
was
job.
a lot of fun. Thank you. You did ask here, did you translate everything or did you hire someone? My friend helped me translate everything. But I do have two people who are homeschoolers who said you can hire them to help with translating your forms if you want somebody to review it and make sure it's done properly. So I can, if you want to, just get in touch with me and I'll give you their information. So someone asked, Benny, you said, what time did they visit? If you are out of the country until September, I would contact your requisite most likely and let them know or send them an email. Get their email for your requisite, say you're not going to be home. I remember one year they actually came during the Hagim. They came in September to visit us. Oh, if you're worried, Big Tip wanted to share a little story. They decided to come at 9:30 in the morning. And I told the kids, okay, you don't want to talk to them so much. We don't want to talk to them so much. We're going to actually show them how we learn and have them realize that they're interrupting our school day. And I had my entire table covered with books and craft supplies. We're learning all about Tishrei and making lap books. And the fact that they actually got to see my kids in the process of learning, they were in and out of my door by 25 minutes. They're like, okay, yeah, you guys know what you're doing. We had the schedules up on the wall. They saw us in full flow. The kids were like, look, we're learning about this. And they started telling them about things that they were learning. And they're like, oh, okay, these guys have it. Stamp of approval, gone. that was it was actually quite fun. And the Raquezet like actually said thank you for the experience to my husband afterwards to actually see the family in motion. So if you don't want to feel like you're going to be interviewed and you could be like, hey, you're here. Look, we can show you. This is how we do things. And go invite them into your space and you take control. It can make things much easier. So yeah, and then it also will give your child confidence so they don't feel like they're having to be interviewed. They're teaching these people in Misrata how a homeschooler works. So yeah. Um, yeah. So I'd love to do this again. I'm actually have a vision of a really united homeschooling community of doing trips and excursions together, having homeschool meetups with all of us getting together. Um, and also, again, I am working on the herbal medicine course to teach everybody as well. Um, but yeah, I want to keep this community alive. So yeah. Oh, it's kind of weird because everyone's like this
Thank you
little
so
black
much.
screen.
Sorry, I was eating, so I
It's
put my
cool. It's like, well, but yeah, yeah, and my yeah, Ellie's starting to really scream, so I need a nurse her. But I want to talk more about the autism and the special needs. I want to don't leave the WhatsApp group. I'm really hoping we can have some more learning sessions together. I really want to teach leadership education. So it's like the coolest thing ever. Yeah, Ruti. Yeah. You're
I
not
don't
on,
know
you're
if
still on mute. Still on mute. Can I
Oh,
unmute? Okay.
sorry, just I had like few guys like our family is allowed to teach like together
Oh, yeah. No.
because
You
here
are
it's
you're still
forbidden.
awake? Oh my goodness. Um, legally, you are not allowed to have a co-op. You
Okay.
cannot have, so what I had our 30 kids over to play. All my friends decided to come and we just decided to have a party every week at my house. But the government didn't need to know about that and what we did inside my house. That's my house. And if I want to have people over during the day, it's my choice. But you cannot say that I am going to learn with Esther Malkah's family every single day from 9:30 to 11:30. Or I am not going to go over to do science experiments with Yehudit's family on Thursday afternoons. You can't say that. You alone can only teach your child.
Okay.
And whatever else you do is between you and your friends and your time. And if your child says something, you're like, oh yeah, in the afternoon, after school hours, we got together and Moishi has a robot, so they decided to play with their robot together. So that's what he means by doing robotics together. If they happen to know that it mentioned at a meeting. So, but yeah, it's
Yeah, so
all
you can't say like sometimes we have like an activity or together like baking,
no.
for doing with a group and for like going to museums or things like this. Can you say like we go like here? We go like we have an association. We are like a school, so we can have a guide like, and we can have like the school programs of the museum.
So
But
if
some
you're saying
inspectors
so
told,
you are doing museum trips by yourself with your children. If your friends happen to be at the museum at the same time as you, wow, what a coincidence. But you are not actually doing any of this planned as a co-op together. This
yeah,
is completely private. It's like off the books. You are the only one teaching the child unless you explicitly state you have a tutor to tutor your kid in a certain subject, who then has to also agree with you that their name and Tudat Z'ud and information is being put into the application. You have to get their permission that they've written down on the application. So yeah.
How I framed it, because I have a community group of like 15,000 people here, but I have my son help me out. So what and we kind of like framed that like the coordinated activities with the other kids. We framed it in the context of him doing like community leadership. So like he's like planning these fun activities for other kids. I mean, it's like if you really feel like you want to mention it, but otherwise, like what Esther Malkah said is right. Like you want to be
Yeah.
very careful because you don't want them to, you basically, they don't want to feel like you're creating something better than they have, let's be honest.
Yeah, you're not allowed
And
to
I
create
would
your
say
own
that
school.
we have a community here, and last year the person who does the home visits came to actually visit our community at a meetup. So I don't think they're against community. I think they're against like organized learning. Like they're so happy that we have so many chugim here. My daughter is in many chugim that's only with homeschoolers, and they're very, very happy about that. They
That's
just
cool.
don't want us to like get together as a group and like learn math or something. Sorry that my screen is dark. My daughter is nursing.
It's cool. So while you're still nursing, it's awesome. My yeah, so we like have a play, like, yeah, we get together with the homeschoolers in the park, but like they just play. It's just socialization because they're very terrified that your child isn't getting enough socialization. So you have to make sure that they're telling that they're seeing people. There's like meetups at the yard, at the forest, and they're like, "Oh, do you go to the forest?" And they'll ask me like, "What do you do at the forest?" They're very curious, like, "What's going on at the forest?" And I'm like, "They just play." "What do you mean they just play? They're not doing activities?" I'm like, "They was picking up sticks and they was sticking it in the mud." I can't, any of the other parents like trying to direct them to do group activities. I'm like, well, I don't speak Hebrew. My kids do, but they did not tell me that they were getting activities. I didn't see any activities. Like they were really, really curious about what happened at the yard at that meetup.
I just wanted
But
to say
yeah,
about the museums though, like, because they know that we meet up at the museums all the time here, and they're very happy about that. We're not doing
that's
tours. We're like at the Science Museum, Israel Museum, whatever, you know?
that is so cool. For us, it's like we don't have we're in the middle of the Shamron, so we don't really have like a lot of that stuff. But when I had in Corona, like all the kids came over just to play. That was it. So yeah,
Right.
yeah. But
All right, ladies. Well, I'm gonna head out. Thank you very much, and I hope to talk to you guys another time.
pleasure. Yeah, I want to I want to take this off and like do more things together. So it'll be awesome. So all right then. So Lila Tov everyone, and I'm here if
Just I had a last question. Sorry.
yeah.
What are the best places to homeschool in Israel?
There is no best place. That's the biggest problem when people making Aliyah. Homeschool is spread out here all over the country. And it's basically where you're able to make parnasa, where you're able to get a job, where your family needs are met. But I have not found, most Olim ask where do the homeschoolers all live? And we live everywhere. There's no place where there's more homeschoolers than others. Like Nicole was just saying, they have a great group in Yerushalayim, but if you can't afford to live in Yerushalayim, then you're gonna have to live somewhere close by. A lot of people travel in from like Beit Shemesh and Modi'in and other places in the Gush to go to the Gan Sachar for the meetups, I've heard. But for me,
Yeah, we have
I'm
a
an
lot of
hour and
people that come in from out of Jerusalem,
yeah,
and we have a big English speaking community.
yeah.
Or
But
not big, but we have a decent amount.
I was never able to get there. I'm an hour and a half away. So I have 4 or 5 families here. Now we're close where we live. We get together sometimes, but there's no homeschooling place like Dafka where all the homeschoolers live. It would be awesome. I know a lot of people have the dream of like making our own little yeshuv of just homeschoolers and we can all be together and lean on each other. Um, but Mr. Chinuch would probably like freak out. Like, you're making your school. No. So
Yeah, I was in contact, but it was before Corona with someone who wanted to make like I don't know how to say in English, like a village, like where
yeah.
people live together and like and schooling together and living together.
Yeah.
They didn't. They.
Yeah, so you did ask, are they strict about hours of school? I honestly didn't see that. As long as they see that they're doing the work, like you can also say like because it's one-on-one, your child can do all the required learning for the day in 2 hours. And here's the proof. So you, as I said, like where I wrote it down with absolutely no hours, they accepted that and it was totally fine. So
And I really like some like, but here like there's less than there used to be. Like some schools agreed to take like few hours each week. Some homeschooling kids, like here there's only one school that is still doing it. Is it like they're going like two days per week or no more?
wow. So here you could show, you can even tell them like we're doing 3 days a week of learning. It should be fine. So yeah, but they'll go over it. I'm sorry, I have to end because I have to get to Ellie. I need to get her to sleep. It's a 11:15. But
Okay.
let's all questions and everything, please put it in the WhatsApp group, and let's just continue keep being supports for each other. It'll be awesome. We can build our own community and get together still and help support each other. So
Thank you.
awesome. An absolute pleasure. This was awesome for me. So thank you so much. It was awesome. All right. Okay. So I'll get all of the links tomorrow. Okay. Lila Tubbs. Elon, you have to hit stop record. Okay. Okay. Lila Tubbs, everyone.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
Good night.